way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
Hello, you're watching GB News Live. Happy New Year, it's 2022, would you believe? Thanks for being with us as we start the new year.
That's right, it's Happy New Year. Now let us know how you celebrated. Get in touch with us at gbviews@gbnews.uk. But first, it's the news with Ray Addison.
Thank you. Here's your news at 11 o'clock. Medical experts, politicians and sports personalities are among more than 1,200 people who have been recognised in the Queen's New Year Honours List. Knighthoods have been given to the UK's Chief Medical Advisor, Professor Chris Whitty, and his deputy, Jonathan Van Tam, as well as the Chief Medical Officers for Scotland and Wales for their efforts in the fight against COVID. Meanwhile, Sir Patrick Vallance has been elevated to Knight Commander of the Order of the Bath. After a successful sporting year, tennis player Emma Raducanu and diver Tom Daley both received MBEs. And pop star Melanie Brown, also known as Mel B, says she's accepted an MBE on behalf of women suffering abuse in all shapes and forms. Separately from the main New Year honours list, Buckingham Palace has announced that Tony Blair and the Duchess of Cornwall will also receive awards from Her Majesty the Queen. The former Prime Minister has been made a Knight Companion of the Most Noble Order of the Garter. One of his former cabinet ministers, Lady Amos, joins him and has become the first ever black member of the order, while Camilla has been recognised for her contribution to the monarchy, being appointed Royal Lady of the Most Noble Order of the Garter. The official state funeral for Archbishop Desmond Tutu is taking place in South Africa today. Mourners have gathered in Cape Town to pay their respects to the late Nobel Peace Prize winner, who for years fought against racial injustice. COVID-19 measures restricted the numbers attending St George's Cathedral, which has been lit in purple this week, the colour of his clerical robes. President Cyril Ramaphosa, who delivered the main eulogy, gave an insight into the type of man his friend was.
Archbishop Desmond Tutu were here, he would have said, hey, why are you looking so glum, so unhappy? He would have wanted to elicit a smile, a laughter from amongst all of us. That was the type of person that he was.
Well, people gathered to hear London's Big Ben ring in the new year for the first time in 4 years last night, as much of the UK welcomed 2022 with subdued celebrations. Thousands usually watch the show, but the ongoing spread of Omicron meant many stayed away, and the traditional London fireworks display was cancelled. It was an even quieter affair in Wales, Northern Ireland and Scotland, where Edinburgh's world-famous Hogmanay party was called off. COVID measures must be an absolute last resort in 2022, Sajid Javid has warned. Writing in the Daily Mail, the Health Secretary says the UK must learn to live alongside the virus and avoid strict measures in the future. This comes as a further 189,846 COVID-19 cases were confirmed on Friday, another new daily record. Hospitality bosses are urging people not to abandon pubs during dry January. A poll by Alcohol Change UK shows 1 in 7 adults are planning to abstain from drinking for the whole month. But business leaders say many venues are already struggling with debts caused by COVID restrictions and a 60% drop in footfall in December. Michelle Obama and Oprah Winfrey have joined the long list of celebrities paying tribute to legendary actress Betty White, who has died aged 99. The award-winning actress, best known for starring as Rose in the 1980s sitcom The Golden Girls, was due to celebrate her 100th birthday in just 2 weeks. Former First Lady Michelle Obama says she was a TV legend who has broken barriers, and her joy would be missed by people all around the world. OK, that's your news update. I'll be back at midday with the latest headlines. Now let's return to Brad and Balvinda.
Welcome back. You're watching GB News with me, Balvinda, and the lovely Brad. Now, with the celebration of the new year comes national recognition of the extraordinary achievements and commitments made by British people to society.
Yeah, the New Year's Honours List highlights both famous faces and everyday people from communities across the country. This year, more than 1,200 names are on the Honours List, including teachers, NHS workers and sportsmen and women.
Now, to tell us more is our East Midlands reporter, Will Hollis, who joins us live from Nottingham. Happy New Year, Will. Now, can you just give us a bit of a background to why this happens at New Year's?
Good morning. Happy New Year, Brad. Happy New Year, Balvindan, from me here in Nottingham. Yeah, it's a celebration that happens once a year at New Year's. We also see honours on the Queen's birthday as well. But this particular honour that comes out the day before New Year's Day, New Year's Eve on the 31st of December, that's something that's been going on in the country since around about 1890. But the celebration of honouring people goes way back a lot further into our British history, to the time of Normans, William the Conqueror, the 1300s or so, when we first saw people being knighted here in Britain. And while in the media we do get a little bit of a heads up as to the hundreds, just over 1,000 names that we see in this particular New Year's honours, it's traditionally reported in the London Gazette. So a lot of people celebrated from around the country today in this particular New Year's honours, but it's not something that we just do here in Britain. There is a wide variety of countries, part of the Commonwealth, that are also celebrating similar honour systems today as well.
Will, I just want to know, this year in particular has seen recognition for services during COVID, for instance, hasn't it?
Yeah, in particular of the 1,300 or so people that have been honoured in this way, it's around 1 in 5 people that are related to some sort of COVID/pandemic service. Obviously, the honours system is particularly for people that have shown exceptional bravery or service to the Queen and the country, and I think there's no better example of that than recently in the pandemic. This year, a large amount of people celebrated in the honours for their COVID service. It was exactly the same last year, particularly doctors, nurses, as we said at the start, teachers who have played such a crucial role in keeping schools open. But the people that you're most likely to know in particular, you've heard it all day today, one of the main stories around this honour, Professor Chris Whitty, he's going to be knighted, as well as his deputy, the Chief Medical Officer, as well, Patrick Van Dam. Sorry, no, that's Jonathan Van Tam. He's from very close to where I am today in Nottingham, from just over the border into Lincolnshire in a place called Boston. But he did study here at the University of Nottingham in the late 80s, where he got his first medicine degree. So some local connections to those big names, but obviously a lot of people that do go under the radar as well, that aren't as well known as those people that we've seen for so long on our TVs, giving us the advice based on what's going on in COVID.
Has anybody else been recognised from the East Midlands? You've already mentioned Jonathan Van Tam, who went to the University of Nottingham.
Yeah, there's a long list. As I was going through yesterday, it went on and on and on. And the amount of people specifically from places like Nottingham, Nottinghamshire, Lincolnshire, Northamptonshire, which are all part of the region that I cover, a wide variety of people. The ones that most people will know, Bernie Taupin, he's one of the famous faces. He's the person that wrote all of the lyrics for Elton John's most successful songs like Tiny Dancer, Benny and the Jets, as well as Rocket Man. He's going to be receiving, he's received a Commander of the British Order, that's the CBE, for his service to music. He's a fairly local lad born in Sleaford in Lincolnshire, around 40 minutes away from where I am today. He met Elton John when he was only 17, now he's 71, and those two have spanned such a wonderful career together, and I think that either one would say that they couldn't have done what they've managed to achieve without each other's help. Also, William Roach, you might not know him for his actor's name, but you'll certainly know him for the name of Ken Barlow. He's received an order of the British Empire, an OBE, an officer of the British Empire, for services to drama and charity. He's the longest serving soap star in all of the world, holds the Guinness World Record for that. He's from Derbyshire, Ilkeston, which is only about half an hour away from where I am today. It's not all about those famous people, though. It's from the people in this region that are often overlooked, the unsung heroes that keep our society going and help us strive towards the future. One person that I'd like to mention from that long list of people is Michelle Taylor, who's received an MBE for her services to theatre, as well as disability people with a disability, getting more accessibility and inclusivity into the arts.
Thank you so much, Will, for joining us from Nottingham today. Now, it's a new year and a big year on the sporting calendar, with a Winter World Cup and a Winter Olympics among the big events taking place in the next 12 months.
Yeah, here to talk us through those next 12 months and to preview the next 12 hours is sports reporter Aidan McGee. Aidan, Happy New Year to you. Let's start with events today then, and despite COVID, there are still some Premier League games going ahead.
Yeah, there are. Happy New Year to both of you, by the way. Big night for me last night. I'm paying for it this morning, but anything for GBNews. And yeah, I mean, look, we've got a few decent games today. We've got Arsenal versus Manchester City at 12:30. Leicester bit the dust against Norwich, unfortunately. That was a COVID-related situation. Watford against Tottenham. Tottenham can go within striking distance of the top four if they can win that game, as can West Ham if they win at Crystal Palace. If we look in the Championship, just one game has survived out of the three that were scheduled to play. That's Blackpool against Hull. We've seen postponements at Sheffield United versus Middlesbrough and Coventry against Luton. Also, a whole raft of postponements in League One as well. But the games at MK Dons and Oxford United will go ahead. If we look ahead to tomorrow, at the moment, I mean, Southampton, Newcastle is not going ahead. There's controversy there because Southampton are requesting some more information as to why Newcastle were able to postpone this game. A cynic might say, well, it's a long trip. Maybe the players aren't fit, but is this actually COVID related? It goes back to the Premier League, not perhaps clarifying their case-by-case criteria in the way that many clubs hope that they would. But the other one as well, the big game tomorrow, Chelsea against Liverpool. Liverpool reported 3 more COVID cases yesterday, according to Jurgen Klopp. He said it's not a cool situation, in his words. We're getting updates every few hours about people within the building, and it's only a matter of time before the players are affected by that as well, because they can't be insulated from the rest of the people at the training ground. It's not as simple as that. He said he couldn't name who was going to be missing, but he said you'll see on the team sheet on Sunday. And all this as well affects the competition, doesn't it? If these two teams who are chasing Manchester City, who could go 11 points clear today if they win at Arsenal, if they're chasing a juggernaut of a club like Manchester City, they're going to need their best players. And if they're missing, it doesn't generate the spectacle around the new year that the fans want to see.
Aidan, what about the rules around, cancelling games because of COVID? Can you give us a bit more information on that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've actually dug out. Now, this is a situation the Premier League would criticise for taking this around a case-by-case basis. It almost seems like, when you say case by case to me and you and everybody else, it probably means you're making it up as you go along. I'm sure that's not the case with the Premier League, although they've been guilty of a lot of mistakes this season in terms of postponements. And it's not ideal for supporters to have games postponed 2 hours before kickoff. We saw a situation just, 3 weeks ago when Watford had travelled all the way up to Burnley to play their game. and it was cancelled, an hour and a half before kick-off. It's very possible that Chelsea-Liverpool, that we mentioned a moment ago, could be postponed tomorrow, with Liverpool fans having made the trip to London already. But I'm going to just try and give you a précis of the actual factors that the Premier League have outlined in the last few days in response to calls for them to actually clarify the situation. Now, if a club cannot field, they say, 13 outfield players and a goalkeeper, either from its squad list or its appropriately experienced under-21 players, the match will be postponed. Now, that's a difficult one as well, because, yes, you can have 13 players and a goalkeeper, but not all players are equal. If Brentford lose 2 players when they play Watford the other week, Ivan Toney and Ethan Pinnock, they're actually 2 of their best players. So it doesn't matter if Everton, for example, have lost 7 players who haven't played many games this season. They're not as valuable to that team as the 2 players that Brentford have lost. The second factor that the Premier League consider is the status of any COVID-19 outbreak within a club. I'm reading this off my phone, by the way, including the number of individuals affected, the sequence and the source of infections, and their proximity to the match in question. A bit garbled there, I would say, but we're mostly talking about the 13 players and the goalkeeper here. Also, the club's ability to safely prepare its players in the lead up to a match. So, for example, if the training ground is closed down because of COVID cases and your team can't train, and they can't borrow anyone else's training ground, then
we're going to have to leave it there, my friend. I can chat to you all day, but we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much. That's Aidan McGee, sports commentator. Thanks so much. Now, coming up, the best of Uncancelled with Dan Wootton. But first, your weather.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
Looking ahead to this afternoon, and the UK is looking mild but mostly dry, with some scattered showers in the northwest and southeast. Let's take a look at the details. Across the southwest, it will be a dry afternoon with variable amounts of